president of Aveda USA, and Jorge Cancier, founder of Expression Spain. They clinched the international collection category with their remarkable APOH collection last year. So get ready, everyone, for an insightful session as we delve into their journey, inspirations, and the artistry behind their award-winning collections. So we'll get ready to welcome our esteemed guests and embark on this enriching conversation where I'll chat to Antoinette and Jorge for a while, and then we'll invite others from the other hairdressers from the industry to also ask questions to help with our entries from India for this year. So first of all, Antoinette and Jorge, congratulations on your spectacular win last year. Thrilled to have you guys on board, host as part of this discussion, talking to hairdressers from the region. Be great to just start off with, your journey, and if you could just share that whole kind of journey of thinking about entering for last year and all that process from ideation to execution to eventually clinching the prestigious award.
Hey, who wants to start? Jorge, do you want to start? Because we met in London.
Yeah, it was a nice story, how everything started. Actually, it wasn't because we wanted to win. It was because we wanted to create something together. And it was really like natural way. We were doing a presentation of another collection that we made as expression for Aveda. And Antoinette and I, we were like talking about why don't we make something together, like something that is never been doing before, and as you know, it's always nice when you put like two like creative, not two because we are three, and Antoinette, so the four of us together working in a concept, and it was something natural to create something. Okay, like that creates an impact in the hairdressing industry, because it's not just to create beautiful images, it's also about collaboration and to create something together. So that's why it was a really special project for, I guess, for everyone. So it was something that started from this point, and then we were like, step by step, like adding more and more part and more people that we have in common. Actually, some of the team members of the like photographer or some other people, and then I think we create something really beautiful that not just for the British Hairdressing Award, also for some other awards, but also for the industry to show what can be made if you put creative minds together.
Had you two already worked together, like in the past? Like, is that how you kind of connected and thought, let's see if we can do something special this time?
Shall I answer that one, Jorge? So I've known Jorge and the Expression team for over 10 years, 15 years. I first saw them on stage at Salon International, early 2010, something like that. Yeah, and as a brand, I work for Aveda, the brand. We always look for new talent and talent around the world to help showcase our products and, and artistry. That's part of what we do. So when I saw I actually sat in the audience once of their first seminar in London. And having been in the industry myself for over 40 years now, and as a previous British Hairdresser of the Year winner, various other BHA awards, I think I freaked them out a little bit, but afterwards we ended up meeting, and I said, hey, why don't you guys come and do some work with us at Aveda? So Jorge and his team ended up doing 2 very big shows for us in America, and then also a collection. And this is the collection Jorge was referring to. Expression did a collection for Aveda, and I was in London to help promote it and support it. And we came together and say, well, what about if we do it together? So this is a relationship that's been going on for a long time. And I think when you take 2 hair teams or hairdressers, as you want to see it, from the caliber that we are, because obviously we've not just joined the industry, Like I said, I've been previous London Hairdresser of the Year, Avant-Garde Hairdresser of the Year, and British. And Jorge is, and his team had, you know, multiple award winners in the world. You've got to be pretty sure that you really respect each other's work, and, you know, and bring the same level of standard to the table, because otherwise it's not worth it. So so we wanted to create something very new, and like Jorge said, it wasn't really initially about winning awards. That kind of came later. It was really about coming up with something new and taking both our talents together and creating something, because I think what's really lovely is when you deal with people that are on a similar level of you, you start thinking in a very different way. And that's when creativity really comes together. But it might be a good idea, because maybe not everybody's familiar with our collection, is perhaps to share what the collection is. I've got a little video, Vikas, if you'd like me to share, and a couple of pictures, you know, how we came to the whole thing. Is that now a good time to share?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And, you know, it would just really help the hairdressing kind of community understand that part of that process of entry. Yeah, be brilliant.
Good. So I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me. I've got a very messy screen, so bear with me. Oh, yeah, it's very messy because I'm busy at the moment, but it's all going to be good. Hang on. This is my very messy screen.
Oh, my God.
I know. Now we're gone. All right. So I'm going to start with the video.
1 in a million, 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 1 in a million. You know they're coming up to me, 'cause I'm just the kind of flower that's stinging from the beat, but the rhythm's getting higher. Go, 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 go. 1 in a million, 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 1 in a million.
Okay.
1 in a
Oops. So the APO collection originally started, and APO, by the way, everybody, stands for a piece of hair. It's an abbreviation. And it was kind of the, it wasn't originally the name for the collection. Originally, we started off with the word fluidity. We were very much inspired by a Japanese fashion designer. And for those of you that know your fashion out there, you'll probably recognize which designer this is. But we were very intrigued by this fabric, and the team Expression, they love creating, you know, they love creating hair color ideas, and they do that on a piece of hair, whereas in my world, if we work with alternative hair, it's more about wigs or hair pieces. So hence we call the collection APO, an abbreviation of a piece of hair. The other thing is, as I'm a creative director by heart, sorry, I just did something to my screen. We've got a nice yellow line through it, but we're just going to leave that for now. As a creative director, one of the things that's very important to myself is the imagery of the actual collection. So hair is one part, but then how do you express that part? So part of the whole concept was also a movement. We wanted to create fluidity, movement, dance. So what we ended up doing is hiring dancers instead of models, which is quite rare for people that do hair pictures, because normally they end up using models that do beauty. So as you can see here, this is one of our images where you can definitely see the dance move. From that, as I showed you earlier, we had that piece of fabric that we tried to emulate. And just to give you a little bit of an idea how that ended up in hair, this is one of the pieces that we created. And then that was put on the hair, as you can see here. I don't know where all these ticks are coming from, but it's not from my end, just as an FYI. For those of you that want to enter, and I know this is always quite funny, I'll go back one picture, because when you enter the British Hairdressing Award or any awards, well, most awards, you need to do quite a file of assets. One of the assets, and that's why I put this in, is you need to have before pictures. So the very first girl is actually this girl.
Wow.
And then so it's quite a before and after. So you need to have assets of people that, you need to have a before pictures, you need to have a before video, you need to have pre-post pictures, you need to have an after video. So it's a huge array of assets that you need. And this is not something to be taken lightly. I mean, I've been in the industry for over 45 years. This took me almost a day to put together. So, but it's worth it, and this is the very first 4 images that we entered. What happens when you enter the British Hairdressing Awards? You first enter 4 images, then the judges judge the 4 images. Then if you get through, they ask for another 4 images. So people do that in different ways. They can either photograph 8 images up front. That's what we did because, of course, Jorge and I were very busy, so we don't get so much time together. So we did the whole thing up front. Or you can do first 4 pictures and then see if you get through and then do the next 4 pictures. Some people do that as well. And these were the second 4 pictures. So still very much along the theme of a piece of hair, but then taken into a whole different content. Now, the other thing that the Hairdressing Awards requires is a crib sheet. This was the crib sheet that I used. And basically, a crib sheet is a sheet where you have to put down how you would like your pictures to be displayed. So, and you have to do that in vertical order. So we had very much, Jorge and I had very much a discussion where we wanted the pictures to, and how we wanted the pictures to be displayed. So this was our crib sheet. So we don't only think about the hair, we don't only think about the concept or the imagery, you got to think of the videos, the before pictures, and how you want it displayed. And so it's a production. This is not taken lightly. And I thought I'll share that with you guys, so you have a little bit of an idea of what it entails. Because obviously, you're up there with the best of the world.
Yeah.
And it'd be so lovely if you guys from India would also enter, because then it truly becomes a global program.
Yeah, and what are the I mean, it looks like a serious amount of work just to go to the prep, to the prep stage. So when you've been entering, both of you've been entering awards for a while, many years, so you kind of understand, right? If you're going to enter, it's a serious commitment. So in terms of, like you said, it took a day to put that kind of the videos and the kind of the photo bit together. But how much time in total does it take to kind of prep? One from the ideation, that inspiration that came first. How much kind of time does it collectively take to really kind of put this whole collection together?
Before to make the collection, you have to take all of this in consideration. So if you don't have the before picture and you want to enter and you don't have it, you cannot repeat it. So that's why I think it's important before to enter, if this is your idea to enter our, to know how are the rules, because otherwise later is more complicated. And can you remember a bit the question that you said?
Yeah, just how much time, like collectively.
Time. My God.
Weeks, like weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month of, kind of
months.
Man, you can imagine everything started with an idea about a fabric, but after that, I don't know how many meetings Antoinette and we had to talk about everything, photo, video, music, to develop, because after all, the idea comes from, a hair idea that we want to implement into the hair, which is, I have to say that from my perspective, when you work with hair, sometimes you have an idea that you want to transmit, for example, the color that it was made on a fabric, and hair is different. Because hair is something that it has movement, it has like texture. So it was a big challenge just to create this idea into the hair. And after that, it was just the beginning, because there's all of the rest of the things that you have to take care, as Antoinette explained. The idea about to work with the dancer is a beautiful idea, but when you want to shoot the hair in movement, then
forget it.
It's a mess. So sometimes it's really important. Okay, it's easy to okay. We want, and some of the ideas that we had actually we didn't put
We
it
didn't do, that's right.
in the final project, because sometimes you think that it's gonna work and it's not, and that's why it's a long process. If you want to make something special, I mean, it's like, and I have to say, sometimes I made collections in my past, like for expression, that I spend like few little money with less resources, and we won award. Sometimes it's, we don't want to say like you have to make like a Bollywood production to make an amazing collection, but sometimes if you want to make something really special, it means months.
Yeah, and also to answer to kind of add on to that is, if you think, I remember we met in July, I think, in London, or August, and then we started come up with the idea of doing something together. We couldn't shoot until end of November because also Jorge's wife was having a baby during this whole process, remember? And they were traveling, I was traveling, and so a lot of us done on Zoom because I live in America and Jorge lives in Spain. And so, and then I came with my team to Spain in Madrid, and we spent a whole week in their studio working all together. So first working on the ideas, how can we do the technique? How can we add this to the models? Then the dance concept that we didn't end up doing because we realized when we were in the studio, once a professional dancer start moving, they don't think about the hair. It goes all over the place. So it's a big hot mess. Yeah. So we're like, oh, okay, if you do a piece of hair that comes down and dancer jumps up, but it's everywhere. So it's something we didn't end up doing. That's also the reason why we ended up using sunglasses. Because the models, normally with models, you book them for their beautiful faces, but with dancers, you book them for their movements. It's a different story. So we ended up using sunglasses just to make sure that we not only had beautiful movement, but also, the whole concept together. And then, of course, like what I said, we worked with a very good photographer, a mutual friend of ours that we've known, who was based in Madrid, and a great stylist. And we brought in extra team members to help. So this was a production of a lot of people, And then the things that you haven't, the video production alone, we did a fashion video. We did a lot of social media videos. Hence, Jorge and I sat together and created an entire social media plan. Hence, the first week when we launched, it's over 2 million people saw the collection. Wow. It's like when you start dealing with people like, we're both pros, so we know what we're doing. So we put our energy together, our knowledge together, and that's when you get, an explosion. Yeah. And that's what we both wanted. Well, it wasn't the intention, it just kind of happened. It's like, if we put all this effort into this collection and we're both very proud of this collection, then the world needs to see it. So we put all our effort into exposing that collection. And it's done incredibly well.
We'll go back to, I want to just sidetrack for a second, because obviously you guys have been in the game a long time. You understand the essence of putting collections together, and it's a very international thing. Here in the market, we're in India, it's still a very new concept, and there aren't many hairdressers or salons that do collections. And when, we spent like over a year trying to inspire the market, inspire hairdressers to enter, some of the most senior ones would come back saying, well, what's the point? What do I get out of it? Why should I enter awards? And, is it for commercial reasons? What's the benefit for me as a hairdresser and a hairdresser salon owner, especially, to take time out for that? So, you were talking about now, not just the effort of putting something together for the awards, but, putting a whole marketing plan and social media plan to make it go viral. So why would you kind of encourage or say that hairdressers and salon owners should look at putting a collection together?
In my opinion, I have to talk about my experience. I'm part of a company that we don't have salons, and so our aim as a company is to bring innovation for the hair industry. So during the 18 years, one of the few ways that we can promote our work, it was through, in the beginning, magazines and awards. So that's why, I remember the first time it was with our first collection. We won our first award, international, the AIPP award, which is the magazines of all around the world that they vote the best collection. And for us, it was the beginning of how to our company that time, like nearly 20 years ago. No one knows, and it was a great marketing campaign to promote ourselves as a hairdresser, as a team, that we wanted to express ourselves, to bring something new to the industry. There's no better way to promote yourself, you know, if you have if you work, I don't know, if you have a company, depending on your work, you know. There's different reasons that I will say that it's a nice thing to compete. The first thing is just because it makes you better, not because you compete with other people. It's just, it takes the best of you and you want always to put it to the table. And as a professional, this is something that we all want. This is the main reason. But after all, if you have, I don't know, if you work in education, or there's so many different reasons, or even you have a salon, it's a nice way to promote your work, you know. It's you know, like the Oscars or like any other awards. It's an excuse to show the world what you do. That's I think
I totally agree, Jorge. I think the other thing that's really for those, you know, some people go into the hair industry to do clients and, you know, make them feel beautiful every day. That's great, you know. And there's some hairdressers out there that want to do, you know, another thing on top of that. And I think hairdressing is one of those professions that allows you to kind of take your career wherever you would like to go. Myself, I am Dutch. I'm from the Netherlands. I started hairdressing when I was 14. I ended up moving to London when I was 20 and started working for one of the top hairdressers in the world at that time, Trevor Sorby. And that was very much an award. He was an award-winning hairdresser. So for us at that time, it kind of became part of, that's what we did. But at the same time, you know, I remember winning my very first award in 1995 as you know, for the British Hairdressing Awards, the Avant-Garde Hairdresser of the Year. It was really, it probably was one of my most precious moments and most incredible, impactful moments, because to be recognized by the hair industry, not only, you know, on a national level, but global level, for, you know, for those of you that want to take your career to another level, is incredibly fulfilling, and it kind of pushes you. So once you've been, you know, even a finalist, you know, that's such an accomplishment as well. You kind of get the bug, and then you kind of keep wanting to do it again and again and again, and enter more awards, more all over the world. And it's just like recognition from your peers. So, you know, normally you work in a salon and then you get respect from the people you work with. Well, imagine having that respect and admiration for your work by the rest of the world. It's quite an incredible feeling. And again, you know, use that as a marketing tool, use that as a PR tool. And you know, it can end up getting you more clients, or like Jorge said, it can end up getting you education jobs, or make you want to do other things. Perhaps, like, for instance, in my case, like I said, I worked in a salon. I'm now a senior vice president of a global product company. So it really, you know, it can really take you wherever you choose to go. And I think that's why our industry is so incredible. And I truly encourage everybody out there, you know, because to really follow your dream, because it's possible. I was a, you know, 14-year-old girl starting in Holland as a Saturday hairdresser. And here I am in a major corporation in America, you know, creating hairstyles and, you know, winning awards all over the place. So it's possible, you know, the dream can become true, but you got to work for it. It doesn't get given to you. You got to put the hours, the love and the passion into it.
This is so important. And I think there's beautiful stories behind, because when you start to, you know, studying hairdressing, sometimes you don't know how many things you can do as a hairdresser. Because I also remember my dad, the first thing he said when I said I want to be a hairdresser, he said, why? Why? What's the reason why you want to be a hairdresser?
Yeah.
You know, he's a musician. He traveled the world, you know, playing in a band, and he thought that this is the best way to live life, you know, traveling. but he never imagined it that now he tell me, my God, I'm so jealous that you with a pair of scissors, you know, I don't know how many times I cross the wall, like, you know, every week, everywhere, you know, and he's like really proud, and he couldn't believe that, like, as a hairdresser, you can do all these kind of things, you know.
That's a really beautiful story. I mean, from both of you. I mean, obviously the essence is it's like really stretching yourself as a creative and, you know, at extreme level, putting yourself on the global map. But Jorge, it's we have that constantly in India at the moment still, that whole, why do you want to be, whether it's a beautician, therapist, so why would you want to do it? And, you know, we're trying to put a lot of effort here as well to show our parents and others that actually hairdressing can be a really rewarding, satisfying, you know, career, you know, option. So I think it's great, you know, that what you were saying you had from your dad, it's still very common here, you know,
Yeah, we all go through it. Vika, sorry to interrupt, but Zing has a question I'd love to answer. It says, could you specify international collection category has any restrictions and what form of hairdressing work we can showcase? I know from experience that if you know, for the hairdressers in India, they can only enter international.
Yes.
Because the other categories, you have to be a UK resident or residential hairdresser. And, you know, one day we hope we have the Indian Hairdressing Awards. Wink, wink. So we have more categories for you all to join, but I'm going to leave that over to to Vikas to talk about at some point.
Well,
however, for international, sorry, do you want to jump in on that?
No, so we are, you know, we will look at that because for us it's inspiring the local community and recognizing talent, which, you know, is what we want to do as well. But yeah, so yeah, just pivoting back to yourself, that because what I think, you know, the essence of the question is, because it's one category international, it's so broad. And in the other categories at the British Hairdressing Awards, you know, like you said, you can do avant-garde, there's creative, there's color. And here it's all in one. So I think they're trying to winning, where should you be focusing from, you know, is it commercial, avant-garde, cut, color?
Right. Well, I think there's two answers to this question, actually. The first answer is you can't answer as a team. That's what we found out the hard way. We have to enter as, you can enter as, you know, as an individual, or you can enter as an individual plus another individual. But you can't enter as an individual and a team. So that's one rule, and they don't bend. We tried, it doesn't work. Because, you know, we also we like to push the rules a little bit, you know, we're the rebels of the industry. So you have to enter either by yourself or as two individuals. The other thing, like what theme, what, you know, how commercial, avant-garde, I think when you start looking at international, and for those of you that are interested in doing this, I would start doing a little bit of homework and look what's out there, what has won in the past, what would a British judging team be interesting in seeing. Now, knowing that British hairdressing is some of the best hairdressing in the world, you've got to really bring, you know, you got to bring it. So whether that's commercial or avant-garde, it doesn't matter, but it needs to be something different that stands out, whether that's really well done. I mean, you could do a bob, but it's beautiful done in a completely different way, in a new way that would stand out. Or, you know, a hair color idea or a styling idea. I don't think it particularly matters what it is, as long as it stands out. And that's with any type of awards. If your work stands out, you know, then it's going to get attention. And yeah, then you have maybe more of a chance of getting into the finals or perhaps even winning.
Yeah, and I think that leads on to the next question that we had, which is basically getting into the mindset of the judges. I think part of what you said is keep looking at back trends of, you know, what kind of collections have been winning each year, what make the finalists. I mean, obviously we don't get to see the full range of what doesn't make the cut, but look at trends in terms of what does make that top 6 selection and what makes it to the winner category, the international. You know, you're saying it doesn't really matter whether it's avant-garde or cut color, but in essence, it's got to be something that really blows their mind.
Absolutely. I mean, I judge at least 20 awards things all over the world. I even judge the BHA, but I can't judge the obviously team collection, or if I enter. But I do a lot of judging and have done for many, many years. And it's really standing out. I mean, if you think about where a lot of judging now is done digitally, which is different to British Hairdressing Awards. British Hairdressing Awards, you still got to print 10 by 8 pictures so they can stick it on the wall, which is, you know, it's the way they do it. Which in what the good thing about that is that at least your image is seen in a 10 by 8 size, which is a fairly big size. If you enter a competition that's digitally, most of the time you get tiny little pictures. You can blow them up, but if you have to judge 100 different people's work, trust me, you're not going to blow every picture up to have a look. You're going to go, oh, I like the look of that. You know, you go through the thumbnails and go, okay, yeah, that's interesting. I want to see that. So you need to make sure, that's what I'm saying, really make sure that your work stands out, whether your backdrop stands out, whether your hair stands. It's everything. It's not just the hair. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hair, it's photography. And like Jorge said, you don't necessarily need to spend a fortune. You can do the most incredible idea that doesn't cost anything. You know, ideas are free, right? Ideas are free. You can stick them on a white wall and do an incredible idea that will get recognized by any judge in the world. So be original.
Yeah. Jorge, how would you, look at how do you tap into the judge's mindset? What's your, building on what Antoinette said, what other kind of advice would you give in terms of trying to win, an award?
If you want me to be honest, normally when I make a collection, I don't care. I never think in judges. I never think in every time I make a collection, I just think that I like it. And I don't care if the people like it or don't. It's just I need to be like proud of myself that the thing that I see that is special. So in all this career that I built with my partners in Expression, we always thought like, okay, let's do, we create the company to make something that doesn't exist. So that's why every time it doesn't mean that so when I compete for a award, of course I want to win, otherwise I didn't enter. But when I create the collections, I don't think in the awards, in the judges. Also, I have to say that don't become like too crazy with and this is one of the things about the ego and award, is like, I remember the first award that we won, it was our first collection, as I said before. And after I won the award, I thought that, my hairdressing career is going to be solved, like done. It's silly thought, because it's a question of work. And every year you have to, not just for the award, it's just for yourself. If you like hairdressing, don't think in the judges, think in yourself. This is the hardest judge,
True. It's true, because, when we created this collection, we didn't think we were going to enter. Well, it wasn't about the awards. It was about creating something nice and new and different. Yeah. So it wasn't about, For
me,
I totally agree.
To the original, because if you start looking a lot what the people are doing in the award, is at the end you finishing, how do you say, like you create something that it reminds you something that already exists. Okay, so that's why this is part of our philosophy as Expression. Like, okay, I don't care if people like it or not. It's just I just need to. I don't want Instagram. I don't want any other inspiration. Try to be inside of yourself to create something that it doesn't exist, or some innovation in the way that you create the color, or some innovation in the way that you express yourself. I bring, for example, the best people for doing social media, try and get them, because that's little things, it makes the difference, but I'm doing for myself, not for the.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I do the same thing.
Yeah, that's great. I think, what you're saying, once you start focusing too much on the judges, you lose the essence of your creativity, because you're trying to almost create like a template, or
exactly.
It's been done before. And like what you're saying is that it's got to stand out. But if you're trying to focus on what the judges want, you're going to end up copying something that's already been done before. So your inspiration and your creativity goes.
And because the thing is that if you enter and if you don't win, if this is something that you like it, at least you like it. But if you made it thinking in someone else, then you are like disaster.
I think yeah, for sure. I think it's also a really good thing to know for everybody that we have entered, like I've entered, I know Jorge has entered things in awards and that haven't won, you know. You can never guarantee winning, and winning is not the end, you know, is not the be all or end all, you know. It's nice, but it's like it doesn't give you extra money in your bank account, you know, or you know, it doesn't do that. That's, you know, it's the passion, you know. So it's important that you are proud of your work, and you can, like, I look back at pictures that haven't won and I still like them, and I'm gonna go, you know what, really like that, because it's also like, you know, flavor of the month, what people are in at that time, you know, what they're into, and so on.
Yeah. I mean, going back to, money in the bank account point, you know, moving that to
I wish.
Money out. Let's talk about money out of your bank account.
Out of the bank account.
What's the kind of budgets, you know, we look at when entering, you know, these kind of awards, and what, you know, I know, Antoinette, you mentioned, and even Jorge said, you could start with very little, but what is the kind of reasonable kind of, okay, this is the kind of budget you need, you know, if you want to put time, effort, you know, into entering?
You know,
do you want to answer that, Jorge?
No, yeah, I can answer. Yeah. In all this time, you know, maybe the collection that it gives me more, it costs me less. You know, sometimes, of course, if you have resources, you can, you know, be surrounded for better photographer, better, you know, better people around you, because it's not just the hair, it's something else.
Yeah.
But you know, as we mentioned before, is the main thing is that you are competing in a hair award. So be focused on to create something unique. And after that, if you have something unique, it will be like the people, you know, many times happen to us that the people want to work with us instead of we have to pay for them, and that's the key, you know, make them pay.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're, like you said, do you look at, okay, we've got to put like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 as a kind
It depends. You know, I have to tell you, I remember one collection that we call it was tartan, I guess. It was in like years ago when we started, not much money in the account. We did a collection with a, you know, really little studio with people like us with thirsty of creating nice photos, nice, you know. And with this collection, I don't want to say, but it was so little money that we spent, but we won like 3 international awards. Like, I didn't expect it. We won AIPP, we won Figaro, and what it was the other one in international, the IHA. And it was with little money. And sometimes I have to say the opposite, that I spent a lot and we didn't win. So don't be crazy, don't go crazy with the award, because sometimes you are expectation are bad, you know. Sometimes you think, oh, definitely this year I spent like 80 grand and I'm gonna win, because no, it's not just about the money, it's something else.
I also think if you are going to spend any money, like, you know, nowadays you're going to do a lot with an iPhone. Let's start with that. You know, an iPhone does a lot of great things, and if you start from the beginning and you know, you don't have a budget, if you had to spend any money, make sure you spend money on your model, because the hair is only, if you look at me, for instance, the hair is only a very small part of the picture. It's the face that most of the time is the bigger part than the hair. So spend money on the face. And that's would be the number one investment I would do. And because you know, we all have a nice looking friend or, you know, but if you're going to play on the international level, you really are looking to find perhaps a professional model, because working with professional models, they know the angles, they know how to move. Even if you had a tiny budget and you'd had a professional model, you could still get a very nice picture. If you had a professional photographer and a studio and all the other things, and you have your best friend being the model, I promise you, you're not necessarily going to get a nice picture. So if you are going to spend some money, spend it wisely. Yeah. And maybe you have a beautiful friend, you know, that photographs amazingly. Good for you. Because there's not many of those around. But yeah. So, you know, and a person that looks beautiful, perhaps, you know, in your salon chair might photograph very differently against a white wall or on a studio. So not every beautiful person can be a model.
Okay, brilliant. Building on from some of those tips, one of the questions that Duna asked was, what are the three main things that you would advise when considering entering the competition? How would you summarize that? Jorge,
Which
who wants to
Jorge,
go?
do you want to answer that one?
Can you do it for me, because I didn't get that?
I entered the thing. I entered, so I will help him out here. I did the hard work. You know, us women, right? You recognize that. The three main things of entering the competition. You see, Aduna, I get a heart from her. She recognized my comment. I like that, Aduna. The three main things is, of course, you know, well, I to be honest with you, if you go to the website of the Hairdressers Journal, you know, how to enter, like, I read that, I think 10 times, you know, the rules, what you need to do, it's a lot of work. So you need to really know know the rules and know the deadline. Yeah. Because I tell you, if they say 5 o'clock on March 31st, it's not 6 o'clock. You will be disqualified. So it's very important. And also make sure, like, if you're sending from abroad, like I had to do from America, make sure that you're posting at least 3 weeks in advance. So if something happens with the post, you're not stuck, you know what I mean? Because I see all that happening. So yeah, so make sure you know the rules, make sure you're on time, make sure you have a great picture, yeah? And make sure you have all the elements. So you have your before picture, you have your beautiful pictures, you have your before picture, your before video, and you can do all that on an iPhone, so that's free. You have your after video as well. So once you've taken the shot on set or wherever you're going to do that, make sure you take a little video afterwards. And then you also need to send in, before, if you use any retouching, you've got to send the raw images also. So it's a huge file that you need to send off. So really make sure you have a checklist and you tick everything off, and make sure that you have the rights to use the images as well. Because if you deal with professional models and photographers, you only have a certain amount of time that you can have these pictures, you know, you can use them for. Most of the time it's 6 months or a year. Like ours, for instance, the rights to our collection is running out now, so we can't use them anymore after that. So make sure that you really have all your ducks in order, as they say in England.
Yeah. I mean, super session. If anyone wants to join live, because I know we've got some of the top hairdressers, on, watching, chatting. If you want to join live, feel free to put videos on and have that as an interactive session. And we'll, like Seema, Aduna, and Bina, if you want to be part of this, happy for you guys to join in, and everyone else. And we'll go to some of the other questions in the meantime. So Bina from Goa has asked, hey Odd.
Hello.
Hello.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Odd.
We can't hear you.
Oh dear, hi there.
Hey, oh, hey, Bina.
Hi, Vikas. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for your time and your inputs. It's been helpful, and it's also something that has been on my mind for a very long time to do this. And I've been speaking to Vikas. So thank you for putting this together. I think this really helps. for us to, take the next step. I just had a question which I'd put, but I'm not sure, and I'm outside, so maybe there's some problem with my speaker, and so just apologies if you can't hear me very well, because I'm having to put my speaker on my ear, turn the phone around so I can't see your faces. But I have been a part of this conversation for quite a while. So I had put in the chats that if you have any tips regarding, you see a lot of times black and white images, and then you see color images. And with your experience, when does one select black and white, and why do they select black and white to begin with? And what are sometimes the angles, right? Angles and hair, they're two very, very different things. What meets the eye and what looks in the camera, and, the lights around it, even if it's on the plain background. Could you shed some light on that, please?
I'm happy to answer, or Jorge shall answer.
I
think there's a lot of questions in one question. And I think your first answer, black and white or color, I think that's to do with your concept. I think that is totally your personal preference. Like we said before, if you shoot a collection, shoot it because you want to shoot a beautiful collection for yourself, first and foremost, whether that's color or black and white. So I think that's personal preference. When it comes to angles and all that kind of thing, again, to do with your concept, but that, to be honest with you, I have taught courses in the past to artistic teams, because that's not a 1 second answer. That is, that's going to take at least a 2-hour seminar, Bina, and I'm happy to share that with you at some point, but maybe not on this thing, but that's the experience. And I've been a creative director for over 25 years, the thing is, when you deal with imagery, it's like not only doing the hair, but it's also the photography. And the photography part alone is practically a job in itself. So I would say start focusing on your original concept first, shoot it the way you'd love to see it yourself, and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever is showing your work better, the angles or whatever, is. I remember in the past that in 2010, we shoot a collection with we did a haircut and a model that I have to say the back of the back of the model, it was incredible, and we shoot at the back, and it was front cover on many magazines. Normally it's not the more common angle for sure. Shoot the back, But in this case, it was worthy because it was just incredible. And we did it and it works. I wouldn't say that is not the typical, for sure. You should without missing the face, but sometimes it works.
Amazing.
I can give you one quick tip. I'm just thinking as Jorge was talking. One tip, if you want to shoot hair color, for instance, or something focused on hair color, make sure that you have a good amount of hair showing. So for instance, we did a veil over the front and all you see is hair color on straight hair. Straight hair seems to showcase hair color the best and the most, not the best necessarily, the most, I'd say. So maybe either it's a slightly side, so you see a lot of hair, because if you're at the front, you see a lot of face and a little hair, right? Whereas on the side, you see more hair. So bear that in mind as well, if you want to shoot color.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I have lots of questions, if I may. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to Jorge and Antoinette. The work is outstanding. It was amazing to see the work. One of the questions I have is if you could let us know a little bit about the color work, the technique that you've used.
Yeah.
Over to Jorge, perhaps. I mean,
the thing
you
about
would like to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. The thing about color is, for example, for us as Expression, we created the company to create innovation. And the thing is, in cutting I don't want to say everything is done, because you always can make something. But in color, And in volumes and texture, I think there's a huge universe that I think it wasn't made, and that's why we are like quite specialized in to create the stories, and this is what I like to create. Not and every time, for example, when we launched the Pixel, that it was a big phenomenon in social media. It wasn't a collection, and we leave it like that, and that's it. So we explore much more the technique. So it's not just we don't create beautiful story, beautiful images. We try to create the stories that is something deeper. So with Apple, the thing it was okay. We had this reference of the Japanese designer that we cannot mention, but that you all know. So this kind of pattern is how to transmit it into the hair. Okay, wow, that it was the real challenge. Okay, because as I said, is so we try some different techniques, some different ideas, some and some of them I have to say that it doesn't work. And then one idea make the click, and it makes okay, this is a special. And we work a lot with the hair pieces, because that's the way that we create some of the looks. Because sometimes we want to create these looks, and this is another tip that I will give you. Because we said, okay, we always want the best model, beautiful models. But if you want some type of model, you cannot make some kind of colors on this model. So that's why we work a lot in hair pieces. So this is our routine to wearing piece of hair,
So for example, in the competition, there is a limited amount of hair pieces that can be used.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah. So
that's why some of them you can, some of the looks it can be made with the model's hair, and adding hair piece. Sometimes it's the model's hair just by adding a little piece, a piece of hair, and some of the looks are more.
And also, Jorge, just because I know exactly what I'm sorry if I can't pronounce your name.
Odd. Everyone calls me Odd. You can just call me Odd.
Odd. Okay, Odd. Yeah, no, I know what you're referring to, and you're very smart. It's absolutely part of the rules. You're allowed six images with hair pieces or wigs. Like I can't remember the exact combination, and then 2 real hair. So we used 2 of the girls' real hair, and the rest. And actually, we were quite small. Well, I'd like to think it was quite small. I used one picture of one model twice, but had the same hair. So that's how we got away with it.
Yeah. So actually, that's something that came up. I don't think Seema can speak for some reason. She seems to be having some.
Okay.
No,
but I also wanted to.
Okay.
I wanted to add onto Jorge on the technique for a second. The beautiful thing about the APO collection and the APO technique is that it was a true collaboration of both parties. Because what we did is we had a piece of hair, and this is purely technique I'm talking about now. We had a piece of hair that I have pre-colored with my team for a show many years ago, 5 years ago. And then we took that piece of hair with this, at that time, we called it the stained glass technique. And then we added the new technique, the APO technique, on top of the stained glass technique. So there's 2 techniques on one piece of hair. Hence, it's the ultimate collaboration. And the other thing is, obviously, we use the Veda hair color. And as I work for the Veda brand, we are about sustainable hair color, sustainable everything. And I love the idea of having to use a piece of recycled hair. Because I love the idea of respecting hair. So we don't just use a piece of hair and throw it away. It's use a piece of hair and reuse it. Because hair doesn't, it doesn't go away. It stays. It's a human thing. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for hair and for people that either donated the hair or however. So it's respectful, it's recycled, it's sustainable, and then treated with nature. And that's even before we start talking about technique. So please bear that in mind, because there's a lot of things behind all these things that are also playing a very big part in what we're doing.
Yeah, totally understand and agree with all of those. And I think that's a lot of what, I mean, many people around this table are already about. I think the biggest thing, and you've been extremely diplomatic, both of you, about the cost. And I think the cost of this project is the biggest factor that would stop talent from India from entering, as I'm sure in the rest of the world too.
Correct.
So there is a limitation to who can enter this. Purely, I mean, like you rightly said, you're up against the best in the world. So you better come out with something amazing, right? Otherwise, don't bother. You know, it has to be on that level. It has to look international.
But it's also it's like we both keep saying, it's also, you've got to please yourself first. You're not doing this for an award thing, you're doing it for you.
I agree.
So, you know, start with a collection, regardless your budget, for you.
Right.
And then if you're happy with it, then enter it. But if not, you know what I mean? Because trust me, I've been in this game for over 40 years. Jorge's been in this game for over 20 years. This takes a lot of experience, you know, to do the kind of work that we're doing. So, and I'm sure you've been doing your own thing, but do it for you. I think that's the main message that we both, when you say, Jorge, do it for yourself more than anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lovely way to look at it. I don't think hairdressing in our country is at the same level by any means. People are rarely putting together a collection for their own brands or their own individual businesses. I mean, it's still very nascent. The people around this table, of course, are doing that kind of work, but it has a long way to come. And that's the whole point. I think that Vikas is trying to get us all to enter the competition, and we are all very sort of excited by it. You know, I worked a little bit alongside with Seema in her entry this year. And, you know, we experienced a lot of the things that you've spoken about. In fact, we had also thought about using dancers for our shoot at one point in time.
Cool.
It was Seema's work, and I just kind of assisted her and went through the process with her a little bit. But so, yeah, I think we'll definitely be back. Everybody is eager to be part of this, but there are limitations because of certain things. Yeah.
Esther is everywhere. Can I add one quick thing? You know what? Also add the opportunity for you guys is unbelievable, because I mean, you guys are, I suppose, in an emerging market, so the opportunity is phenomenal. You're at the forefront. So I personally think that's super exciting and super challenging, and at the same time, but exciting, because if you crack that code for yourself, look at the opportunities. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and you know, can I give you also my experience on that is where, for example, I'm part also of a project in Spain that we started the Spanish Hairdressing Award. By that time, exactly the same that you said, the level of hairdressing in the country, it wasn't that good. But it's already 15 years after. All this year, the level of the Spanish, you know, the average of the quality of the Spanish hairdressing community are like growing more and more because of the award. The people want to be better every year. And even right now, you feel like maybe the level is not enough to compete. You know, now if I look back, the first collection that I made, and maybe it's not, okay, I wouldn't do the same now, but it's something that you can see the evolution, and that's why don't feel like you are less. You are
Can I ask
in the time that you okay.
I'm cutting it out, Mina.
So you just keep doing your thing and try to make the best of you, you know. Like,
Sorry, it was a little bit noisy.
It is noisy, yeah. So,
You're
do you
frozen,
understand?
Meena.
Thank you so much.
Add to that,
My pleasure.
I think, very important, while the standards of hairdressing can vary even within India, but I feel that when I started my career, I mean, I would just go ahead and say that the inspiration has to be from within. So even at the beginning of the career, when I did participate in competitions, it was more to please myself because I was excited to do creative work. And in maybe not a British hairdressing platform, but if it's Vela or if, but I just feel, and I had to put in all my own money, even whatever little it was. So I think there has to be creative stuff happening on a regular basis by individual stylists for them to move to the next level. But if that doesn't happen on a regular basis, even in whatever small format, simple format, then on this platform, it becomes difficult. So it's more a cultural thing.
You're cutting out. I also want to say, I know like George and Antoinette need to get back.
I think that will come with time. Yeah, this platform, you do need those years of experience to be able to participate because I don't think it makes sense otherwise. But once a couple of rounds have gone, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but we still, so for me, the inspiring part, which was and which is today, even for my students and the team, is we are not just hairdressers, right? I remember Antonia doing an interview in that. That's the beginning video of most of our so I think there's to be a motivation. So just that's pretty much that there. And if you'd like, also would be great to
It's on here.
a bit more into detail. Is it possible to put a little bit more input from it? That would be great.
All right. I'm going to get that point later and then maybe circulate it back to everyone because she's cutting in and out.
I can't hear.
We're gonna wrap up because we've run over time very quickly. I know we could go on for hours and hours, but I really thank Antoinette and George for taking time out to really taking time out busy schedules to talk to some of our hairdressing community. I'm really glad that we could have Seema Aduna. Seema was the first entrant ever.
Well done.
We had a couple others.
Thank you so much.
Her and Aduna really slogged it by themselves to get up to scratch and actually did a great collection, which what we're doing with what Jose said about starting small, look at this, what he did in the Spanish market. So what we're doing now as a kind of acknowledgement of their work is whenever we do 5 shows a year in India, and we've been taking their work and actually showcasing it at all our events as an acknowledgement.
Amazing.
Because while we know they weren't finalists or winners last year for the BHAs, but it's our way of kind of recognizing, acknowledging. So Seema, you're going to be there at the Bangalore show next week as well, when we have
fantastic. Maybe Vikas, you should bring Jorge and myself out to India so we can do some. That would be great, wouldn't it, Jorge? We could do a show for them.
Yeah.
We could show the APO collection live in India. How about that?
That
sounds great. Sounds great.
Yeah, look, we already got some people want to go. Anyway, it's so lovely to meet you all. Thank you so much, people, for showing up. And at the end of the day, we all do the same thing, right? We do what we love. We follow our hearts. And otherwise, we wouldn't be in this industry because it's too hard if you don't love it. So I want to say thank you all so much. It's really lovely to meet you. And keep at it, keep at it. Things will happen. There's opportunities there.
Yeah, completely agree. Thank you again so much for your time, guys.
Thank you very much.